Hello and welcome to Unsourced Wall. My name is Elvis, and as always, I am your host. As we've reached yet another week of quarantine, it seems like there's not that much to talk about. There's obviously not a lot of stuff coming out, especially in terms of like Marvel scaling back a lot of its line and DC being up in the air about what the hell it's going to do. It seems like kind of a tumultuous time, and I think things are starting to get a little bit more placid. I guess I could, as a last resort, start reviewing the weekly digital comic that DC is putting out called Batman The Adventures Continue, which is the continuation of the Batman TAS series written by Paul Dini, and it's meant to be like the new in-canon stuff. But honestly, TAS and large swaths of DCAU don't really interest me that much to go along with it. I think it's really cool that we had stuff like Kevin Conroy do a read along with it. I think that is the kind of thing that is definitely going to get it on a lot of people's radars, and it's pretty fun. I always want stuff like that to happen because when you have a memorable or iconic voice or actor, you want to see them sort of embody a comic version of that in any which way possible. It's kind of like when Adam West, in some documentary, I don't remember which one, read a few lines of Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, and it was amazing because you associate Adam West with Batman, and so just hearing him read those words had a lot of impact. And I think that Kevin Conroy really putting his weight behind this digital comic is honestly equal to or even better than that. It's a toss-up, but honestly, I just can't get the care for it. So I know that's heresy, but that's the reason why I'm not even doing that. And there isn't going to be any reviews this week because I didn't read anything other than, of course, going through my old backlog, like The Fourth World and all sorts of omnibuses I have lying around, because I really wanted to try and push on forward with it. And hopefully we can get through this as quickly as possible, and it's going to be another short one. I don't know what else to say, and we are all trying to get through this as safely as possible together. Here we go. We have one news topic this week, a big news topic, and that is the unfortunate passing of Mort Drucker at the age of 91. And Mort Drucker is probably most famously known as being one of the most iconic gang of idiots that has worked for Mad. He was one of their premier comic artists, their caricaturist, their portraitist, and probably one of the most defining looks of Mad, contributing to the magazine for over 50 years, maybe most well known for doing their movie parodies. Now, that's kind of the rub here, because the movie parodies in and of themselves were maybe one of the weakest parts of Mad. They weren't ever necessarily good. They maybe got like a good pun in there once in a while, but they had the same kind of writing and comedy level as like a really stolid opener at a stand-up comedy club where you got like one zinger over like 5 pages and like 60 panels. But the draw there was always the art, because you got to see the actors and the world and the environment so insanely well rendered, but also incredibly over the top, goofy and silly and zany, that the contrast and juxtaposition of these styles and these tones, they made that entire segment. It was always my favorite segment. It's always been one of the most memorable segments to me. Like, you have Predecessor, aka Predator, or the Oddfather trilogy, obviously aping The Godfather and all that stuff. And it was always a delight to see that, because it made the parody hit harder. It was kind of like the deadpan angle of the parody. So that was great, and it's unfortunate that Mort Drucker has passed away, and the 90 years plus that he has been on this earth, overall net good to everyone on this planet. I am assured of that. Other credits to his name have been illustrating DC's war stories, their Bob Hope tie-in comic book, doing the poster art for American Graffiti, and so much more. It's honestly been such a stellar and magnificent career, and I'm just glad that he knew, or at least hope that he knew, how much he meant to a whole generation, several generations even, and the impact he had on the comic community, on comic readers, and pop culture in general. There were so many people from all different facets of the community and several different communities coming together and showing their outpouring of love and how he influenced their art in all these different ways. So, you know what? Rest in peace, Mort Drucker. I'm going to give a moment of silence, if you'll permit me. Hope his family and his loved ones get closure and the rest they need as well in this trying time. And I guess the only other thing I can talk about is, well, that apparently San Diego Comic-Con is mulling over whether or not it's going to close down or postpone or anything like that. I think the main point of contention with them is that they have so many vendors. They're one of the largest, if not the largest convention in terms of pop culture in like the nation. And they would be insanely out of pocket or really hurt by having to shut down. I hope they do. I don't think this is going to be anywhere near close to being over when June or July or whenever Comic-Con usually happens is, rolling around. And to really have to weigh it between surviving using, the profits that you would expect and, human lives. It really does put a point on it, and you have to really put the public good in the forefront here. It would be a shame for Comic-Con to sort of, I guess, implode, but it would be an even greater shame and tragedy to allow that to open and then to have whoever would be foolish enough to go out there, put themselves in danger pretty much. So don't let them have the opportunity. We need to kind of stay strong on this. And so the last thing I'm talking about is that Image has started to lay off workers and editors and all sorts of people due to, I guess, the financial constraints and the sort of belt tightening we're all feeling. And that's a shame. And I hope that they can find work after all this is over, and that when this all settles down and when we finally reach the end of this, or at least nearing the end of this will all have been worth it in some way. And also, I guess the last thing I can even bring up is that I'm recording this on Easter Sunday. I would have gotten this episode out by now, but I think that with everything going on, I don't really feel like recording when I usually do. Fridays and Saturdays seem to be really weighing down me a lot. So I'm going to take this opportunity just to say, I hope you had a great Easter holiday and holiday season, and that you and your loved ones are staying safe. And that if you want something to read over Easter Sunday or like just to commemorate the season, I would recommend Jeff Loveness's Judas miniseries. It's amazing, and it's about the harrowing of hell and Jesus' journey into hell after he got crucified and all that kind of stuff. It takes a largely different look at it. I think that with a lot of like Renaissance art and like romantic period art about the event, Jesus is portrayed in a much more triumphant kind of light, while this one uses Judas's point of view and makes him more of a central figure in why the harrowing of hell happened and why Jesus needed that kind of push, which I think might kind of irk at people who are a lot more traditionally Catholic or anything like that. But I still think it's a great read, and it's an emotionally hardening story. So please check it out. And again, hope you had a great holiday season. Anyway, that's it for this week. Again, I didn't ask for questions. I'm just not in the mood. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it just, I'm all in my head about it. So I just want to say, again, hope you and your loved ones are staying safe. I just want to say thank you to everyone out there who's ever sent in a question, comment, or topic. And those of you who are still listening, it means so much to me. As always, you can find me on Twitter at THE_SNICKMAN. Please check out the Cover Art Show at DOTEMCEE. They're amazing. Give them support too. And next week is going to be the second anniversary episode of Unsourced Wall, and this Friday I'm actually going to release a little bit earlier than that the Judge Dredd commentary track for the 1995 Sylvester Stallone version, and it's going to be a riot, I hope. So fingers crossed, and again, have a great week. See you again next time.